Hey everyone, welcome. You're listening in now to the Quokka and Microsoft webinar on App Risk Visibility Reinvented. And this is a webinar discussing the great partnership that Quokka and Microsoft Security have built around our products, primarily Microsoft Intune on the MDM UEM side and Quokka's QScout product on the mobile app risk intelligence side. We're going to dive into today the combination of these solutions, the benefits that you'll receive when you combine these solutions. And I'm Chris Gogol. I'm the VP on the public sector and Asia Pacific for Quokka. And today I'm joined by Alex Babita from Microsoft. Alex?
Hi, folks. Great pleasure to be here with Quokka and your team specifically. I'm a product manager at Microsoft, focused on the developer experience, specifically for free P solutions that want to integrate within the Intune space. And I'm really happy to highlight this great partnership with the agentless deployment and the great collaboration that we have, within our customers. Okay, so really happy to chat and discuss about this great product integration throughout the next slides.
Thank you, Alex. And I'm really excited as well. We're going to get started today by looking at kind of the threat landscape. Why are these products, integrated together? Why is Quokka working with Microsoft to enhance the product lines on the security front? And we'll kind of start at a top level today here with the threats surrounding the mobile ecosystem combined from a lot of the different sources that you may recognize. You know, the Verizon Security Report, Forrester, Bleeping Computer, some others as well. So in general, there's a large focus on mobile devices and employee-owned mobile devices for attackers. So you see in the top right there, two of the top three attack targets were corporate and employee-owned mobile devices. Often people think about, desktops, servers, software, cloud applications, but they're not really considering the threats that are coming on your mobile devices. And the attackers have recognized that gap. Corporate and enterprises are not focused on mobile devices. Well, they're going to focus on it to try to take that data. And you can see other stats there, the malicious applications on the official app stores, not only from side loads that most people think. And actually, over half of enterprises for Verizon have experienced app-related incidents from malware or unpatched vulnerabilities in apps. So it's no longer a quiet threat that can sit in the background that attackers aren't focused on. Mobile and mobile threats are on the rise. And as you know, mobile work is on the rise as well. Many and most people are actually doing more work today via their mobile devices than they are doing traditional devices. And we can see that in the headlines here as well, not only in the statistics, but the headlines from folks like the Washington Post, Info Security Magazine, Fox News, and others. Mobile application security is on a large rise, not only on paper, but in action. We see these attacks happening. Even, an app on the Google Play Store that had 19 million installs that was malicious. And today we'll show you an example of another application on the Apple App Store that also has some interesting behavior behind it. So don't just trust everything that you see on the store as secure and safe and private. There's a rise in malware and malicious applications, vulnerable applications that are not being covered today by the default platform providers. So that's where this partnership can come in. And Alex is going to talk now about the scale of this problem here.
Yep. Specifically for this part here, Chris and team, one of the things that we've noticed throughout the last couple of years is that a lot of the business has started moving for different companies, especially on their mobile devices. And when you go ahead and potentially assess like the work patching and pretty much the entire application ecosystem, you get to some really interesting numbers there at the end of the day. For example, you could have on a device like 80 apps that are constantly being present there. And if you do some specific average, you look at 12 to 14 updates per app per year on average, right? Just like we see exactly on this gray slide. Now, if you go ahead and multiply those exact numbers, you get to an insane number that your IT admin has to keep up with. Okay, so that basically pretty much expands this entire attack surface that you have to go ahead and manage with different CVs attached to them and other potential zero-day malware exploits that can end up to your own hardware inventory, right? And asset inventory at the end of the day. So that is pretty much why you really need to focus and have a solution that can potentially provide this great intel, these great insights, and work hand in hand with your antivirus solution and provide some extra extensibility when it comes to these great signals, right? Now, if we look at some specific traditional things on how they're actually being, happening in a regular organization, right? Let's consider some of these traditional tools and how, they're considering and how other organizations are looking at their own portfolio, right? On that top of the iceberg there, we have like the traditional XDR, and DDR, MDM, and MTD at the end of the day. But this is kind of the traditional way of handling stuff because what we are not probably looking at when analyzing the entire picture, we do have some additional things to consider like malicious behaviors, the privacy risks, poorly coded SDKs, which is another really great thing to look into. And some of my favorites when we consider that in combination with signals from shadow IT, unvetted apps, and social media apps, those are some extra things that you should really bring into this security party, if you will, at the end of the day. That could potentially shape like a better together story, right? Right, like we have with our Quokka partners. So you should potentially go ahead and address this bigger picture on the top of the XDR, on the top of the EDR, right? And my favorite component here, working with Intune, I know that at the end of the day, you might have to go ahead and ship your signals through like Sentinel, rely on a very smooth integration that offers this 100% coverage, agentless deployment, and set up some risk-based policies from day number one. And when we go ahead and look at some of the things that are interested for us from a Microsoft angle, Quokka does have all these great things enabled from day number one, right?
And
And
something else, Alex, there, the traditional tools, they're providing some of this security, extra MTD solutions on top of Defender are kind of duplicative in some sense because you already have Defender and it's often built into the Microsoft Intune agent already. So why buy another one? So you can add all of this intelligence without an additional agent at half the cost of those other solutions. So you're removing overlapping solutions, standardizing on the Microsoft agents rather than additional agents, and doing it all at a lower cost. And you can see what that looks like on the right-hand side here, where the inventory is collected, threats are detected and fed back to the Microsoft solutions. But there is another view I want to show you that's kind of higher level here, where we can see the entire architecture of your mobile security deployment. Um, so, Alex, do you want to start with the Microsoft side, and then I can explain how the Quokka
yeah,
solutions
I'm,
plug in?
I'm really I'm really happy that I'm gonna start with this part because the number one thing I want to highlight from day number one, you're doing this amazing work on both platforms. So we should consider both Android and iOS right now from day number one. And when we look at this integration, for example, in a corporate environment where you go ahead and protect and have your devices, for example, being an MDM type of approach being device managed, you could potentially target this exact scenario from day number one. You would essentially go ahead and potentially deploy Defender for endpoint as your number one AV solution. On top of that one, you have this continuous risk intelligence where you have, MTD, you have mobile threat intelligence, you have all the app vetting. And this is, of course, in conjunction with the work that Quokka actually does at the end of the day. All it's powered by, Intune, to be able to ship all the great policies. And if you might potentially go ahead and take all these great signals and have them over in a Sentinel storage to rely on your SIEM solution of choice, which could be Sentinel in this specific case, you might be able to leverage this work and make easy for your SOC personnel to potentially get over and have some signals correlated with their security copilot instance, where you take all this heavy lifting and you manage to ship the signals at the end of the day in a more filtered approach and be able to have them focused at the right incident at the right time. Okay. Chris,
Yeah,
feel free to add something extra on the top of that one
yeah,
in
yeah, for
conjunction with
sure.
this great work. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
so many people might be familiar, obviously with the Microsoft products and what they do, Intune being the MDM on the device, Defender being the threat defense. But to give a little bit of insight into what Quokka brings to this party, you see that mobile threat intelligence and app vetting that Alex mentioned. And I mentioned on the previous slide that we can do and add this behavior without adding an additional agent or an additional app on the devices. And that's because we're leveraging, as you can see, on the Microsoft solutions that are already on the devices. So essentially, Quokka can feed in the threat intelligence about the mobile apps that are sitting on your Android or iOS device into the Microsoft stack without an additional deployment on your phones. And what we do and how we do that is we simply look at the inventory of the applications from the Microsoft Intune side to see, hey, Alex's device has these 80 applications, my device has 80 applications, and we simply then, as you'll notice on the App Store side, go download those applications ourselves, all in a black box environment, and test them and analyze them and generate the threat intelligence. So while many other solutions, including Microsoft Defender, have threat aggregation, they can aggregate open source intelligence, aggregate known threats. What Quokka provides is the complementary to that, the threat generation, 0-day threat intelligence. And that's because we're generating the threat intelligence on demand with our black box testing. So it's not reliant on any open source technologies or open source intelligence. It's generated by Quokka with our mobile threat intelligence capability, and then plugged right into the Microsoft solutions for efficient access and efficient remediation. So we'll talk a little bit more about that in the demo to show you live how this works. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over to that screen now for you. And we're going to start in the Intune view actually to help you understand, the start of this integration. So if you're an Intune user, you'll be familiar with this view. This is the view of all the applications across my fleet. So I can see here all the different applications installed on all these different devices, both Android and iOS. And I can click back to my apps overview. If I wanted to look at my iOS devices and applications, I could do that. So I can see here, my applications. I've got this Time Hut application. If I click on it, this is the type of information I'll see. I'll see the publisher, the operating system, when it was created, assigned, where it's installed, and so on and so forth. But what we don't see here is that app threat data, and that's where Quokka comes in. So on the Quokka side, we have a product called QScout, which is what we're talking about today. What we do simply with QScout is integrate into the Intune and Sentinel side through API. So no additional deployment needed. And we can sync with that Intune instance to see all those same applications that we saw in Intune in the QScout UI. So we see here that same time application from Intune, but we see some interesting things here. We see policy violations. We see, maybe suspicious countries contacted, and we can then go ahead and click in to view additional data. So what's policies are triggered here? Well, we have 0-day malware that's not detectable by a signature or hash-based approach. And we have communications that sending data to places that our agency or organization does not want, with China or Russia. So we see here in that threat, we have a malicious score of 57. We can click in to see our network information to see exactly where this data is going. Well, we've got 20 different connections in China here where this data is going with the photos and videos that this app is taking. So obviously that's something that we do not want. And also we can see in the malicious side, this is an App Store application, that this application is sharing a lot of behavior with adware and potentially unwanted apps or PUAs. So what that means is it's not a known malware. It's not a hash or signature based detection. We're actually looking at the behaviors of what the app is doing in its code and triaging that and understanding what behaviors are similar to those of other malware sources. So at the end of the day, you can detect malware that hasn't been found by someone else. And that's where the beauty of the zero-day intelligence comes, that mobile app risk intelligence comes with Quokka, is that we're able to find these things that your other tools aren't finding. And that's why this integration with the Microsoft suite is so valuable, because you can add this intelligence directly to your fleet through that API integration with Intune. And you might be thinking, well, then how do I get this information back in my console? Well, that can happen through the Sentinel product, as Alex mentioned. So we see here that same application triggered an incident in my SIM that says, hey, a malicious application is detected on my fleet. I can then click into my events to see exactly, again, that same information that we saw. What's the app ID? What's the package? What device is it installed on? And I can even see some of that high-level threat information that was generated by Quokka's console directly back in my Microsoft solution. So what we're seeing here is a closed loop tool adding the Quokka intelligence to the Microsoft fleet efficiently at scale. Again, no agent required, and you can get all this great intelligence added to your existing fleet. So, Alex, I'm going to go ahead and shift back to the slides here, and maybe we can talk about what's coming next.
Yeah, exactly. I know your some of your strategic items here, and I love all the great heuristics that we've seen being leveraged. Now, considering this, specific partnership that we have, can you let us know on your roadmap what are some of the top of minds or potentially the next 6 months that our mutual customers can expect from your solution going forward?
Sure. Yeah, definitely want to talk about that. We've been hard at work with Alex and his team looking at the next steps for these solutions as we're getting further and further integrated into the Microsoft stack here. And obviously, the next major one that we're targeting is the Microsoft Security Copilot agent for Microsoft Sentinel. So, what that's going to look like is a Copilot agent that's able to tie this information together and do some triaging and potentially even some remediation aspects for you automatically by leveraging that Sentinel data lake, leveraging the Quokka intelligence together with the contextual information provided by Intune and Defender, kind of tying all these pieces together as from separate sources into one fantastic security agent. So that's first and foremost on our roadmap there to help tie that together and bring that value through Microsoft Security Copilot. Um, and then the next one beyond that is expanding this through agentic AI. So what we are looking at doing is actually enhancing our analysis that we do. So I mentioned that zero-day intelligence that we generate. Well, that's all powered by what we call our analysis engines. And we'll be enhancing those engines with some agentic AI to enhance our dynamic analysis capabilities to power that application execution. And what will that do? That will enable us to find more behaviors, more things that these applications do more efficiently by applying those approaches. So together, those two major roadmap items will enhance the intelligence that you get and enable you to use it more efficiently, of course, with the Security Copilot. Um,
Yep.
so I think
Sounds
that,
really, really great.
yeah.
And looking forward for the next couple of months and happy to have you in the Microsoft Intelligence Security Association space and also to see all these great, items on the agenda for both our mutual customers.
Yeah. Thank you, Alex. And as Alex just mentioned, we're happy to announce that we are also part of MISA now. Looking forward to further enhancing our partnership along those fronts with Microsoft. And if you did not know, all of our solutions are also purchasable directly in the Microsoft Azure Marketplace and Security Marketplace as well. So if you're already leveraging those solutions, you're leveraging Azure, leveraging that purchasing ability on the marketplace. Well, you can grab these solutions directly there as well through your Microsoft representatives. So thank you again, Alex, for joining us today and providing
Thanks
some
for
great
having
insight
me.
into the Microsoft side. And we're looking forward to continuing to grow this partnership.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks, folks. And happy to be here present and highlight this great partnership that we have built over the last couple of years.
Thanks, Alex.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.